I'm not crying anymore. Oh, because I praise the Lord. I've been laughing all day long because of my Lord. Depression doesn't faze me anymore. Anxiety is gone because of my Lord. It's time.
Hey everybody, welcome to Lost Light and Laughter, an uplifting show about laughter after tragedy. I'm your host, Michelle A. If you're ready for some inspiration and laughter in your life, you've tuned in to the right show.
It's time to show love, everybody. Show love one time. Feel me strong enough to fight my battles. I know he'll never give me more than I can handle. My Lord, my King, the one that
Hi, welcome back to Lost Light and Laughter, an inspirational show about laughter after tragedy. I'm your host, Michelle A. And today I have a special friend with me, Lynette. Come on in and tell the audience about yourself.
Hi, I'm Lynette. I work for Bryan ISD and I do healthcare on the side. And I'm just here just to get some inspiration from everybody as well as myself.
All right, awesome. Well, Lynette, as you know, the name of the show is called Lost, Light, and Laughter. And so I want you to talk to us about a significant loss in your life.
April 23rd, 2017, I lost my best friend, which is my brother. He was killed by a drunk driver in Dallas, Texas. And so for the past almost 5 years, life has been just a whirlwind for me.
Mm-hmm. So tell us about the relationship that you had with your brother. Tell us like your best friend.
My brother, oh gosh, we have the best relationship. Pretty much we were inseparable. He literally told me at one point, he said, we're so close. Like if one of us ever was to go, what would the other do?
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm living the reality of that. And I kind of try to live off of his words because he's deep into the spiritual world, into everything that was positive. And so I'm just trying to live off of that.
Mm-hmm. Tell us, go back to the day you got the news.
April 23rd, I was working at the rehab in Bryan, and one of the nurses came and told me, she's like, well, your phone keeps ringing. And so we thought it was my daughter. So I went and checked, and it wasn't her. And one of my friends from California, Eric Collins, he ended up calling me and told me, okay, your brother was killed in a car wreck, and I thought it was a mistaken identity. Eventually, I collapsed in the halls. A lot of nurses and doctors were around me. I don't remember too much of that day because it was so vivid, but I do remember telling them to call his phone. Like, call him just to see. I know it was a mistake. And, later on, it was reality.
It was real. So once you realized that it really happened, this is not a bad dream. Tell us about where you were.
Eventually, I got home, and that was a Sunday, and my mom found out in church. Mm-hmm. And so when her and her friends came up to the house, I was sitting on the porch, and I don't know who was all around me, but her friends came up, and they wanted to talk about God, and they believe in prayer. And I don't remember if I said any bad words, but I told them, right now I'm not into God. I don't want to hear your prayers. I don't want to hear anything about God. God is not real. And they were telling me, God don't make any mistakes. And I'm like, well, he did today,
Mm-hmm.
And it was no coming back from that. I could not snap back to reality for a long time. Me and God had a real fallout.
Yeah. And so tell us about where you were before the accident, like before your relationship with God before then.
My relationship with God was pretty good. I got everything I ever asked for as a child. Mm-hmm. I used to pray for a little girl, and I have a little girl, and I used to pray to work with children, and I work with children. I love my life. I love everything about my life. So me and God, we were really good. I seen nothing but positivity.
Mm-hmm.
And then, when April 23rd happened, it all reversed to everything negative. I stopped praying.
Mm-hmm.
One time I had a temper tantrum on the bathroom floor, grown as tall as I am.
Yeah.
And, I told God, you are non-existent to me.
Mm-hmm.
I will not speak of you anymore. But then probably about 2019
mm-hmm.
is when I kind of started praying and everything. But 2020 is mm-hmm. when I came back. I snapped back.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm glad you are just being so vulnerable. And like, I hate that this happened because I remember the relationship that you had with your brother. Like, they were like twins, okay? He'd come up to the school and, he was there. And when it all happened, it was just like, it was surreal. It was just like, it didn't happen to me, but it was happening to me, because when you see someone that loves so hard and you see someone that's just a great person and then they're not here anymore, it's just like, why?
Right.
And so I know you had those questions of why. Has God ever reconciled that with you?
God has on and off. I believe if you ask God and if you ask to see anything that you want to be manifested, that you should ask God and wait for it. It doesn't come overnight.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times within the past almost 5 years, I'll ask like, hey, give me a sign. And this especially when I started praying again in 2020, I would say, give me a sign. Let me know my brother is around. And, I would get signs all the time. And literally, I just had a sign 2 weeks ago.
Good. Yeah. So, okay. And so when we look at that, and we can see the transition, and I think this is the beauty of the show. And this is what I want people to really get and understand. Like, sometimes we have these really hard hits and it's like the ground has just been removed from us, from underneath us. And we're struggling to make sense of it. Like, why did this happen? Like, God, like, we were good. Why change this good thing that we had going on, right? And you're just like, God, how can I come back? How can I laugh again? How can I just... Because really, at the end of the day, we just want to go back to our old life, okay? That's all we want. Like, we don't want nothing new. We don't want to learn nothing. All I want to do is go back to my old life. And I'm like, God, how do I get back to my old life? And, we have to come to the point where we realize we're not going back. And God, how can you heal that hurt so I can accept the new life that you have for me? And so when we look at that, we are, we have to just accept God's love and truly believe he's there for us. But then it's the joy. Like, I remember having conversations with you and it was just like, it was hard to get you to laugh, Like, so talk to me about laughter. Like, when did you see the transition from the hurt? And that's one of those things, because this is her best friend and brother, okay? It's not one or the other.
Right.
And to lose that, talk to us about the transition in your emotions and your feelings, even getting to the point where, you can laugh again.
I think the transition happened in 2018 when initially I was with the school district and my brother always encouraged me like, you're better than that because I'm just a teacher assistant, but we don't get paid anything.
Right.
And so he was like, you have to go into the medical field. This is great for you. It's good money. It's good because I love to work with people. Anyway, so he encouraged me to do that. So I quit the school district. But then when everything happened, 2018, I went back to the school district. Mm-hmm. And I was a little worried because I was like, well, he encouraged me to do better. I did do better. And I love the patients and everything. But I have passion behind the students. Mm-hmm. And so I literally had a dream that my brother was in this relay and he was running with children. Mm-hmm. And he was just so happy. And I was like, okay. So I woke up and I was like, that's my cue. That's him saying, it's okay if you go back to the school district. It's okay if you don't get paid a lot. Do what you love. Uh-huh. And so that was transitional for me too. Yeah. Because I'm like, okay, he approved of it. I can go back and be happy. And I've been happy. Yeah.
Amen. Amen. So talk to me about a time where you just remember just laughing, just cracking up and just going back there.
Actually, it's with the signs. Like I said, before spring break, my brother know I love rainbows and he know I love kids. Mm-hmm. And so one of my students randomly, she brought me roses. And my brother always give people roses for Mother's Day, Valentine's Day. Uh-huh. He would do that with everybody. I mean, so many people in public has walked up to me and said, I know you don't know me, but I know your brother. He would always give me flowers or roses. Anyway, so one of my students came up and she gave me roses one morning. And so I was like, oh my gosh, thank you. And then later on, while I was on my car duty, it had rained. But I thought I seen a rainbow little puddle right next to my duty. And I said, oh, well, I guess I was mistaken. I didn't see a rainbow. And then all of a sudden I seen rainbows printed everywhere. And it wasn't the normal rainbow. It was on the concrete. And so I started laughing. I'm like, oh my gosh, is this real? So then a car ran over the rainbow and they all disappeared. And so I thought I was hallucinating. I was like, maybe I just thought I wanted to see it, but it really did happen. And then later on that same morning, I found out I won paraprofessional out of the whole school.
Woo! Congratulations.
Well, thank you. And so they gave me flowers. Well, my brother would give me flowers and he'd give me roses. And, you know, he loved my rainbow signs. And so then I had another thing that happened. One of his friends came up and he was just talking to me and he said, you know, I'm happy to see that you're doing better. And I looked and I said, this is insane. And I didn't believe it, but I thank God. Yeah. And that's me also keeping myself in belief with God. Like, we had a fallout. Yeah. Life happens. One lady, Miss Ida, she worked at Greyhound, and she told me one day, she said, how can you love the created more than the creator? And I would tell her I was so raw with my emotion. I was like, well, he shouldn't have created him if he knew he was going to take him. And there was a time where I was like, God, I will be 9 in my second life, as I say, in July. And I asked God, why would you allow my brother to save my life? Did you take my brother? But again, with all of these signs, it's like, it's okay. It's okay. You can be happy. Yeah.
It's just in different forms. And sometimes we get stuck in the way that it used to be.
Right.
And the transition and accepting that God has a different way. He's still here. You know, that's the beauty. That's the beauty in this. And so, Lynette, talk to us. Let us know, okay, you've experienced this. Tell us about a time where, or even just tell us a story that every time you think of, you go back and you feel like you're just cracking up. You're just laughing.
Okay, chapstick.
Okay.
And a lot of things relate to my brother. And his name is Charlie, by the way. I'm sorry I never shared that. But, you know, when I see girls or even myself, I will put on chapstick and I don't put too much on because he always say, well, why do girls always put too much lip gloss or chapstick on and it looks like you've been eating fried chicken all day? And he said it looked like the grease in the chicken. So now I just put one swipe and I just make it work. And I try not to have the glossy chicken lips.
So you see a lady walking down the street like, that's what Charlie was talking about.
And I laugh at that often. It happens every day. So I think about him every day. And I talk about him every day. So
Awesome. So tell us, Lynette, if you met someone who just recently lost their brother or best friend, what advice would you share with them to kind of transition?
Give yourself time. At the beginning, I went to the pastor and she was trying to tell me good things. And I told her, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear about God. And I let myself feel my emotions and they were really raw. And they are still raw. It's just you have to let yourself go through the motions. It's not easy. It don't happen overnight. Like I said, I'm nearly 5 years in and I'm still displaced in my feelings in life, but I am okay. And you will be okay. You just have to give yourself grieving time. There's no expiration date on grieving.
That's right. Thank you so much for saying that. I know a lot of times people in their, with their best intentions, they want to rush your grieving process. They want you to just hurry up and be happy again. Right. But sometimes it's a mistake because you never truly get to process your hurt and your feelings. And it just shows up later in another way. Right. And you're lashing out. Right. And if we would have just given you the time to grieve and heal the way you need to heal, you know, you can you can heal and not have to go backwards and start all over again. And so I want to thank you so much for being so transparent and so real and understanding like God is going to use this. And so every single person that hears this, they'll be able to relate to you and to know that it's okay to grieve and we don't have to rush it so everyone else feels comfortable. We just have to take our time as God heals us. And then the other thing that I realized that you mentioned, it was just like, you're now more aware than ever before about God's grace and how he moves and how he reveals himself.
Right.
And, you know, now you see the rainbows and you smile. Now you see them greasy lips and you smile.
Right.
Whereas before you couldn't, you know, you see the roses, people are talking to you, and now you can receive it. Right. And you are full and you are experiencing it. And so I just want everyone that hears this to share, and let everyone understand, like, this is sometimes how grief works. And it's okay to just give people an opportunity to heal. And so that concludes this episode of Lost, Light, and Laughter. Lynette, I want to thank you once again for coming on and sharing your story and being so vulnerable with us.
It's an honor. Thank you so much for inviting me.
All right. You guys have a good one and be blessed.
Be blessed,
It's time
everybody.
to show love, everybody. Show love one time. It's time to give praise, everybody. Give praise one time. Yeah. It's time to show love.